So I'm going to start then with you, Arjumand. So quick introduction. You're a senior lecturer on UCD.
No. Senior postdoc in UCD.
Senior postdoc at UCD, University College Dublin, and you're also part of the Women in Machine Learning and Data Science, right?
Right.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. So you're going to talk to us today about, so your talk is about social media analytics around COVID-19, a case study of misinformation. Interesting. Well, welcome.
Thank you for the introduction and for this opportunity. So I'll begin my talk. So like you already introduced the topic, it's social media analytics around COVID-19, a case study of misinformation. My name's Arjumand Younus, and I'm a postdoc at UCD, senior postdoc, because it's my second postdoc, and I work with CONSUS. CONSUS is basically the crop management group, and we are working on data-driven agriculture, like how to use data science for greater agricultural production. I was also a recipient of the Google Anita Borg Scholarship in 2013, and currently I'm part of the Women in Machine Learning and Data Science, the Dublin chapter, and we're hoping to have our launch soon, so I'll keep you posted on that if you want to follow me on Twitter or you want to reach me out by email. So yeah, I already got this part over. So basically I'm an academic, and I did my PhD in computer science in 2015. And well, I do interact with industry time to time, but academia is my first and last love. And also I call myself a part-time activist for different social causes. So this talk is organized as follows. First, I'm going to talk about COVID-19 and the after. We all know about it, of course, but just to get things rolling. And then what is social media analytics? For those who don't know about this field, it's a whole research area. And then we'll go into some of the misinformation that is around COVID-19 and the challenges due to social media. And then there's a project I worked on recently, just last month. It was called Infodemic Dynamics, and we investigated 5G. When I say we, there was a whole team, and I'll tell about the team more as I go on. So we investigated the relationship between 5G and COVID relationship. There's a huge conspiracy around it. So we know that World Health Organization declared coronavirus COVID-19 a pandemic in March. And as a result of that, a lot of countries imposed a lockdown to flatten the curve so that the health systems, the public health systems are not overburdened, and we don't see a lot of deaths like happened in Italy and Iran, which was very unfortunate. And it was so terrible to see all those images coming from those countries. So as a result of that, work from home became the new normal. So this is a meme I've used, like, don't travel, don't socialize, stay inside, coronavirus lockdown rules. Normal people are very sad, but we programmers, yay, that's fun for us because that's what we like doing. So jokes apart, what I did during this time, I saw something on Twitter being posted by some research groups. It was a net COVID workshop, and it was run online by University of Maryland's research group Computation and Mathematics for Biological Networks. It had 4 tutorial talks over a period of 4 weeks, and also a group project, which we were supposed to do with other participants. So it was for PhD students, research scientists, postdocs, lecturers, like anybody who's into science could join it, and they run it very smoothly. Around 300 to 500 participants from all over the globe took part in it. They attended the tutorial talks. They were mostly on the net COVID means network epidemiology in time of coronavirus. So it helped with an understanding of, how the models are working, why is the lockdown necessary, why is social distancing necessary, how the virus spreads to each other, and different models from epidemiology, which are basically mathematical models, and then also some network models of virus spread, infection. There is something called SIR model, something called SIS model. All these talks were given by very renowned professors of the field, and they explained their own papers, their own research, and it was a lovely thing that they organized over a period of 4 weeks. And so we had to group up with 6 or 7 PhD students, postdocs, and other people in the whole workshop to come up with a project of our own. And there's also a best project award and a second best project award worth $2,000 and $1,000. They'll still announce the results hopefully in a week or so. But for me, it was a good chance. We programmers also always want something new. So this was like, there's also a social aspect. And like I said, I work as a part-time activist. So I found that this one can be something very good for me. And another thing, all of this talk, although it's over now, it just ended 2 weeks ago. But any of you, if you're interested in all of the science and going into network epidemiology, you can access the tutorials and the projects that the groups did on this link. It's all for free. You can see everything on their YouTube website. All right, so what is social media analytics? That's my expertise. That's basically my area from PhD. I've done a lot of work on it. That's why, so we all brought to the table within this workshop, this net COVID thing, what we are expert at. So the problem is that this virus is so new and it brings so many different challenges with it that not one expert from one field, like, although we are singing that thank you to the doctors and nurses and all, but that's not just it. At the background, there are several people who are working on tackling different problems that are arising. Like, for example, there are people from network biology, there are people from mathematics, there are people from medicine, there are people from different areas like physics who are working on different solutions around the virus, like and developing different test kits, antibody testing, or vaccine. This is on the medical side. The models of how the disease is going to spread or how we can flatten the curve, what are the predictions, all this is being done by data scientists, physicians, or what do you call them, mathematicians. So my area is social media analytics, and what it basically means when you derive insights from social media data, chiefly through two types of fields, two subfields in the computer science: network analysis and text mining. Text mining has been my focus a lot during my PhD thesis. And a lot of companies are using social media analytics. It finds applications in customer review analysis. For example, Amazon, there are thousands and thousands of reviews on products. Amazon mines those reviews to make its customer service better. Not just Amazon, a lot of companies do it for better user experience, better customer experience. Then within it's also applied to political outcomes prediction. You can find a lot of research works on election outcome prediction within social media analytics. Then there's public health prediction tasks, like some scientists in the US specifically are working on how to detect depression from social media, there's also one work on obesity in Qatar, I think, like how much of the population is obese depending on their social media, from mining all of it from social media posts. So it's a very interesting field. And also urban analytics, like what are the crime hotspots in a certain urban area, or how can we improve the traffic systems. So it ties into smart city stuff. So social media is very vital in today's world. So it gives birth to a lot of interesting applications as well. And that's why a lot of researchers are working on mining as in text mining, and also mining of the networks on it. But like everything, when there is a pros, there's a cons. And with social media, the problem is that every user can produce their own content. So this has given birth to something we call fake news. And there's a lot of that going around COVID, especially because everyone is a journalist. There's a widespread dissemination of misleading information, not just COVID, even before COVID, you may have heard a lot of rumors around stuff. And just during the COVID days, there was a rumor about North Korea president that he has died. And for 5 days, the rumor kept spreading around. Even my brother WhatsApped it to me. I kept telling him, no, it's a fake news. But he said, no, it's not fake. So you get these sort of people who are, spreading around fake news all the time on Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, different social media channels. So this is another recent challenge that researchers have begun to address since 2013, and that is how to separate the truth from lies over social media. If someone is interested, I can send you a lot of papers, a lot of data sets on these. Now, with COVID, mm, roughly 1/3 of social media users have reported in the US that they have seen false or misleading information about the virus. And not just United States, it's also true about South Korea, China, my own country, Pakistan. There's a lot of fake news going around, and some other countries as well. So the chief, conspiracies or fake stuff that's coming around is that it's a engineered virus. You may have heard of that. You may have had your own doubts after seeing all the fake news, because it sort of grabs your mind when you see a lot of it. So a lot of people are saying that the virus is man-made and it was engineered in either in USA or in China. There are conflicting narratives about that. Then some people said it's a population control scheme because they want our old population to die, because we know that this virus is very bad for the vulnerable groups are the elderlies, like above 60, above 70. So they want to get rid of the old people. I heard that theory. And there are also many tweets about that. Then there's a 5G thing. We also read about 5G towers being burned in UK and USA. And then the anti-vaxxers, they're everywhere. So even before COVID, they existed, and after COVID, they're like, oh, this virus is being created to spread vaccination programs worldwide. Why is Bill Gates so active? Why does he want the vaccination program? They want us to force ourselves into vaccines and stuff. So yeah, that's all. And all of this has serious consequences. It's not just about just a rumor or a conspiracy theory, or like, for example, in the 5G case, we saw some real damage to public property. And so misinformation is in itself may seem harmless, but it leads people to do very, very dangerous things. And that's why tackling it is really important. So now I'll talk about the project that we did within this COVID workshop. And yeah, these are my teammates. Amy Knopf, Sam Rosenblatt, Ravi Sharma, Sarah Sugars, Jia Song. All of these were PhD students, except for Sarah. She just, did her defense during the workshop, and Amy is a lecturer, and myself, I'm a postdoc. So, it's a bunch of geniuses that came up with this. So the idea was GA's. She's originally from South Korea, but she's doing a PhD in the US, in Florida. So we've heard about 5G narratives even before the virus. As early as 2016, people have been talking about it, and there have been conspiracy theories that it's dangerous, it can cause cancer, it's a national security concern, it's big government, they're trying to make the new world order, it's about deep state, it's something like that. So these are all the narratives around 5G that you can see in this graph, even before COVID. However, COVID it was just like a fringe theory. Not many people were paying attention to all the 5G theories. However, after COVID-19, we saw a huge spike in all of those conspiracy theories, and even celebrities and public figures were buying into it and retweeting about it. And so it became mainstream, the 5G one especially. Like, as you can see in the New York Times, there was a heading in April, how a 5G coronavirus conspiracy theory fueled arson and harassment in Britain. And there were cell tower attacks, there were different types of attacks. So this was something that was a very interesting project. And what we did, we used social media analytics to study how COVID affected the 5G conspiracy theories. Did it have any relation? We did some quantitative analysis of it and measured it, and which I will show the results. So rumors and conspiracy theories have spread across social media with great impacts. Like I said, it's a very dangerous thing. It's not just something that, you read once in a while and you don't pay any, like a joke or something. No, it has serious consequences for public health. Like, the more there's a relationship between those who believe in conspiracies and those who don't follow social distancing, those who don't follow the protocols of the lockdown, and therefore they contribute to spread of the virus more and more. So it's like, you know, something that goes round and round. So that's why it has to be tackled. And just recently, Facebook has announced that from now on, any post that it will deem as fake or spreading misinformation about COVID, it will take it down, and it is taking it down. But this problem in itself remains very challenging because the bots or the people who want to spread these theories have very smart ways to spread it. So we collected tweets using Decahose, and our sample had 10% of tweets, and we searched for the term 5G within the tweets. So sometimes 5G can occur in a URL, so we filtered out those, only 5G without any preceding string or succeeding string. We collected those from between January and April 15, 2020. And so we had a collection of around 530,000 tweets with this many users. And earlier, our plan was to do analysis on multilingual, but then we figured out, like this graph shows, that most of the tweets that had a language tag were in English, so we restricted ourselves to English. The technique we used was word embedding, like I said in my abstract. Okay, what is a word embedding? It's a very popular technique in natural language processing, which grew in fame around 5 to 8 years ago after the paper by Google on word2vec. You can access that paper. It's a very famous paper, and you can find many talks around it. So basically what it is, it's just a feature learning technique in NLP, in text mining, where a word is mapped to a vector of real numbers, a huge vector. It can be like 300 dimensional vector or even 1,000 dimensional vector. So it gives a lot of features for every word, and it makes our representation of text very, very rich. And it has taken NLP to remarkable heights. The accuracies that we could achieve in various NLP tasks like text classification, sentiment analysis, and stuff, the accuracies have skyrocketed due to word embedding. So it's a very neat and cool technique and very easy to implement. So for this technique, what happens is, I'm not going into the technical details. It's based on deep learning. So there are Python libraries to implement it. There's something called GenSim in Python. If you're a Python user, of course you are, that's why you're here. So if you see the GenSim word2vec or word embedding library, you can easily figure out. There are a lot of tutorials over the internet. If you need help, you can come into contact with me. I can help you with that. So words with similar meanings have similar representation. That is, if a word is like cat, so dog would be somewhere around that word because that's also an animal. So king, queen, these would have a different context than cat and dog, but they would be in different clusters. Like you'll see the figures in the other slides. So in this project, we saw that there's a notable spike in mentions of 5G after the COVID was designated as a pandemic in March, on March 11. So you see there was a huge spike. And also in early April, when there were reports of cell tower attacks and harassment of telecom workers. So April saw another big spike, and that was mostly news, but also some conspiracies. So, and now the top 5 most common hashtags in January and in first 15 days of April, you can see that in January it was around 5G, AI, IoT, Y. So those are just tech terms, but when the pandemic grew and grew and there was more of COVID, so we saw that in the top hashtags, COVID-19 and coronavirus were also included. That was the second top, and Corona was the fourth one. So what I did in this project, this part was done by the other PhD students. This part I did because I have some expertise in word embeddings and word2vec and stuff. So, okay, what are these graphs? First, I'll explain some of that. These are TSNE graphs, basically distributed stochastic network embeddings. Well, these graphs, as I told you, that the embedding vectors of different words when you use word embeddings, so the dimensions are huge, like 300, 400. We cannot visualize all that stuff, but we need to see for the results. So there's a technique called dimensionality reduction, which reduces something of a very high dimensional vector. Like if its dimension is 300 or something like that, it can be reduced to 2-dimensional space. That's what we did. Using the word vectors within the different tweets, we projected it on a 2D plane and plotted the different, the terms that were occurring in most of the tweets. Now in Feb 2020, you can see that the clusters around innovation, services, trade, encryption, deceiving, these are tech terms. So it wasn't these are not terms related to any conspiracy theory or any, misinformation. But come April 2020, and you can see clusters of conspiracy here in the words psychopaths, concern, tracking, attack, corona, conspiracy. So this shows that there is a clear agenda or clear misinformation spread within Twitter around the 5G and COVID thing. So we collected 5G tweets, and within those 5G tweets, we all got corona, conspiracy risk, psychopaths, attack emerging all of a sudden in April. So this is something very interesting to visualize, to see in the form of a beautiful graph. And it's something that word embedding does very easily. It's just 5 or 6 lines of code, and if you have the data. And this is another heat map. So what was done is the terms tech, phone, innovation, 5G, and startup. We saw which ones have the similar pattern of all these. And in this, you can see that 5G is the odd one out in January. So it had started to happen because within these tech terms, 5G emerged out as the odd one. But in March 2020, innovation is the odd one out. And you can see that COVID is now there with 5G and phone and tech. So you can see the pattern of the conspiracy theory emerging as corona spread and spread more, and it was affecting public more, and it came more into the news. So as things come more into the news, people tweet more about it, and everyone, like I said, everyone becomes a journalist without any authentication, without any substance, and they keep spreading this stuff. And we saw this phenomena, that how we can see it as proof in word embeddings. So this is still a work in progress. We will publish it hopefully soon, and you can access it. But it was a very interesting project, and I really enjoyed it. And also with major implications for public health, for, tracking of conspiracies on Twitter and stuff. So yeah, one more thing. Oh, sorry, I was working on the slide. So there's a publicly available data set on tweets by Dr. Emilio Ferrara. I can give you the link later in the chat. So this data set is basically for anyone who wants to work on Twitter on conspiracy theories, fake news detection, or COVID. So all those tweets that in that publicly available data set are related to the coronavirus tweets, and it's something that you can play around with. So that's it for my talk. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
That was really, really good. Thank you.
All right, I'll stop the sharing. Yeah, any questions?
Let's see. It doesn't seem like it, at least not so far.
All right. So if anyone wants to ask later, you can ask me on Twitter or email, or if you want the papers. I understand this was more research-centric stuff. Is the data gathered just from Twitter or different platforms? Just Twitter. For this project, just Twitter. We can do from different platforms, and I think other researchers are doing it. There's also a Kaggle data set on research papers published on COVID and stuff you can see in Kaggle, but for the purpose of this work was just Twitter.
Would it be difficult to get it from Facebook?
Yes, because Facebook's API is very, very tricky and limited now. it wasn't like that in 2010, but now they've restricted. But still, we can whatever is available publicly. Like if you go to the Irish Times public page, the comment section and all, you can get those still. Yeah.
And other networks like YouTube, like the comments on YouTube.
Oh, those are easy to get. Those are not so hard.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I just have another question there. You can just tell us about WIMLDS for a moment or two.
Oh yeah. Well, this was something that we all at Insight, my colleagues and myself, we all worked in Insight Center for Data Analytics and UCD, and we have seen a lot of machine learning researchers who are men and who give different talks from time to time, but the women in this whole space are very few, but they do exist. We know them, and they are working in Insight with us in UCD. There's also a lot of accomplished women researchers, and we ourselves are working. So we thought that to increase the participation of women and other, minority groups, we need to do something. So Claudia, who is the founder of it, she brought up this idea to make the Dublin chapter, and we said, oh, why not? We'll be interested. And then we approached the WIMDLS, the main who leads the world over, starting from the US. And she said that all we need to do is have 4 people. We already had them, and set up a website with the profile descriptions and all, have some events every 4 months, and that's it. It can be of an informal coffee, even just like your events, PyData and stuff. So we'll be having ours soon. So hopefully we'll let you know. And
we'll be sure to post that. So that's Women in Machine Learning and Data Science.
Yeah.
And there's the international website. There's chapters around the world, all the way in India and Botswana and Britain and Ireland and USA.
Yeah.
And it's WIMLDS.org, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. So,
any other questions about the slides or talk?
Not so much a question, but an interesting comment that psychopath and all that kind of stuff is starting to crop up lately. With Donald Trump going into final gear with all this, so people are very worried about that.
They are. Like, you would be surprised at the approach that some countries, like even Boris Johnson, he was in denial for so long, and look at what it cost the UK. So many lives.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's amazing what conspiracies can do to your mind.
Well, I think there's another factor there. I noted that in Ireland, for example, where it's a public health system and where everyone would be guaranteed a bed no matter what shape you go in, we would be very worried about that getting overloaded, because if there was a massive surge, we would never cope with everybody needing help. As opposed to America, where you need healthcare. So like, they're not going to bring you in off the street. If you're sick, you're going to stay there unless you have the right healthcare package in place. So they can actually afford to take the focus off social distancing now and back into working. As you're about to see in my slides, they're financially crippled at the moment, so it's about to come tumbling down for them. But yeah, hugely interesting talk. I'd love actually to see if you could point that at YouTube, because some of the conversations get more aggressive there more quickly. So that would be very interesting to see what kind of words pop out on YouTube on particular channels. Like.
All right, yeah, that could be an interesting idea. Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Well,
that's it.
Thank you
Thanks very much.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, do you think it would be a good idea to take maybe like 2 minutes break, or you want to go straight into post-coronavirus finance in the US?
People might want to get a can or a pint or something into them there, or a cup of tea, or a biscuit.
I think that's a good idea, yeah. So maybe, let's say 3 minutes. I mean, the commutes are very short these days. So 3 minutes, I think, would be a good time, right?
Yeah. 12 yards to the toilet and 10 yards to the kitchen.
Perfect. So we come back in 3 minutes then with Niall. Very good.
Yeah.
Cool. I would love to know where our lovely attendees are from. I can see some people here. Well, I know Chuck. Hello, Chuck again. I don't recognize the other names. I can see some people here. Well, I know Chuck.
Yeah.